You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast, season 3, episode 76. Cubs lose another series to a 500 team. Don't forget, you can listen, you can download, you can review. Most importantly, you can subscribe to the Fly the W podcast, and you can follow us on all the socials. It's Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, Fly the W on Facebook, or you can email us at flythew670@gmail.com. All right, Crawly, I said sweep. I think you were 2 out of 3, but I kind of pushed you into a sweep, and it went almost exactly the opposite. The Athletics won the series 2 out of 3. The Cubs were basically in do or die earlier today, and they died.
Sadness, Dustin, it is enveloping me. Boy, they just absolutely tanked it, and I was not comfortable with the series going into it. I know you said they just beat the White Sox, this and that, but I don't know. I just, that Colorado series really kind of took it out of me, man. I really, after that, was like, that was your shot. And if you could have built some momentum and carried that over to the A's series, I would have had more hope. But the way that they lost that Rockies series, that to me was about it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought if they swept the A's, all of a sudden the Braves are in a tailspin. Maybe the Phillies do something to the Mets. Maybe. And it make matters worse, Crawly. To make matters worse, with that Cubs loss, the Brewers won the Central today.
That is correct. Yep. Congratulations, Brewers, who have like half the payroll that the Cubs do. You win the division again, and the Cubs are just waiting for their tragic number to hit. And right now, I think their chances of getting in the postseason are about like less than 1%. It's
less than 1%. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where we are right now.
That's where we're at. And we do recap all the series. We preview all the series, and we are going to continue to do that. So the game that we did feel most comfortable about and the game they won was back on Monday night, and that was the Shota Imanaga game, and he put on quite the performance.
Yeah, this game was over by the 4th inning as the Cubs ambushed Joey Estes and the A's. Bottom of the first 2 outs, Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger back-to-back singles, and Isaac Paredes, he makes it 3 in a row. Seiya scores, Cubs up 1-0. Then in the second, Nico singles. Get this, Dustin. PCA hits a bunt single on a 1-2 count. You don't see that often.
No.
Miguel Amaya singles to score Nico, and PCA moves to third. Cubs take a 2-0 lead, and Happ makes it 3-0 with an RBI single. Amaya goes to second. First and second, Dansby Swanson hits his 15th homer of the season. A basket shot to left. The basket giveth, the basket taketh away. Cubs up 6-0. And after a Seiya Suzuki single, Joey Estes' night is over with no outs in the second inning. Doesn't matter who was pitching. The Cubs are still adding on runs. Bottom of the third, Nico walks. PCA doubles to put runners at second and third. Miguel Amaya hits a single to score a run. Ian Happ would pop out, but Dansby singled to score PCA, and the Cubs were up 8-2. 4th inning, Cody Bellinger triples and scores on an Isaac Paredes singles. Cubs have a 9-2 lead after 4. With all that run support for Shota, that it was easy cruising, right? That was his 5th win in a row. Dustin, Shota gave up a leadoff triple to Jacob Wilson to start the game. He gets out of it without giving up any runs.
Right. That was what part of what was so impressive. Not only the fact, obviously, that he goes on to K11 Athletics, but I just thought, when that happened, and he got out of it.
Right. He didn't get lucky in the 3rd inning, though. The A's got them. Jacob Wilson drew a leadoff walk, and Brent Rooker homered, his 38th of the year to put the A's on the board. Dustin, I've been listening to a lot of pundits who think that the Cubs might try to trade for Brent Rooker. But again, that would require Cody Bellinger to opt out. And then because Rooker is basically a DH, he started 120 games at DH, 9 in right, 5 in left. But he's the kind of big bat that the Cubs need. Can you imagine hitting 38 home runs on that team in Oakland and in that ballpark that they play in? But like I said, Cody would have to opt out. Suzuki would then play right, and then Rooker would be a DH, right?
I guess. I mean, you're gonna be okay with Suzuki and right?
Yeah, I mean, you can always do that thing where you kind of take them out later in the game if you got a lead.
If you got Tauchman sitting around still,
you're not going to have Tauchman. Tauchman's going to be done. This is going to be it for Tauchman. But again, if you can just find a decent enough backup outfielder, I think that'll happen. But We'll see. After the home run to Rooker, Imanaga gave up a walk in the fourth, a single in the fifth, and a single in the sixth. He would pitch 6 innings, give up 2 runs on 5 hits, 3 walks, and a career high 11 Ks. How about this, Dustin? In 9 interleague starts this season, Shota is 5-1 with a 2.31 ERA. He's allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in 6 straight starts dating back to August 18th, posting a 2.61 ERA. I know you and I have argued the semantics, but the rules are what they are. I mean, at this point, you got to say that Shota is definitely in the running for the NL Rookie of the Year, right?
To not get into the whole argument, sure. Yeah. Of course, if we're under the umbrella of rules that I don't agree with, yes, he should definitely be in the running. No doubt about that.
Right. Baseball's rules. And so we'll see what happens with that. But Trey Wingarder pitched 2 innings and Jack Neely finished the 9th. Cubs scored 9 runs on 18 hits. They had a team cycle. Dansby Swanson was 2 for 5 with the home run and 4 RBIs. Isaac Paredes, 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Miguel Amaya, 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. So we had a couple of guys on the cold list last week who drove in some runs. And then how about going 7 for 11 with runners in scoring position? Nice little change there. So game one was a lot of fun.
That was a big change of pace coming from the series we just wrapped up with Colorado, right? Where the runners in scoring position was a massive, massive Achilles heel.
Yeah, just absolutely awful. So game 2, this is the one that I was most nervous
on to game 2. Can't we just enjoy game 1 a little bit longer?
Nope.
It's game 2, huh?
Ooh, game 2.
Jordan Wicks. Jordan, maybe I wish you were still on the IL Wicks.
Yeah, this was after a rough start against the Dodgers, Jordan was hoping to have a bounce back game. Unfortunately, the only thing bouncing were home run balls by the A's in the bleachers. With 1 out in the first inning, Brent Rooker singles and Shea Langoliers hit a 2-run blast to center field. Cubs were down 2-0 before they even come to the bat. Top of the third, Lawrence Butler, with Butler and Rooker. I mean, that's just a deadly 1-2 combo, but he hit his 22nd home run to right center to put the A's up 3-0. The Cubs would answer in the bottom of the third. Ian Happ led off the inning with his 24th home run to pull the Cubs within 3-1. Still in the third, 1 out. Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger hit back-to-back singles. Isaac Paredes grounds out. Suzuki out at third, but there's still runners at first and second with 2 outs for Michael Busch. He hits a soft fly ball to right, and Bellinger scores. And now the Cubs trail by only 1, 3-2. The A's would get one of those back in the top of the 5th. Once again, it would be Shea Langoliers who hit his 2nd homer of the game, number 28 of the year. A's back up by 2, 4-2. Not the outing Wicks was looking for. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 4 runs on 7 hits with 2 walks and 4 Ks, but he gave up 3 home runs. Okay. So Wicks has started 4 games in September after a really long stay on the IL. And in his first 2 starts, he didn't give up a home run in 10 innings. He pitched against the Nationals and the Yankees. But his next 2 starts against the Dodgers and the A's, he's given up 7 home runs in 8 innings. Here is what Wicks had to say after the outing, just his reaction to it.
It felt like 3 different spring trainings for you this year.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. There's no excuses, though, when you're at this league and you're trying to help us win. It's definitely not ideal, missing 3 months of the season. But, like I said, there's no time for excuses. You got to go out there and compete.
You felt the home runs last 2 games have been more command or more sequencing?
So he's being asked right now, do you think that the home runs had to do more with command or sequencing of pitches?
What do you kind of attribute?
I would say probably more command on my part. I think I'm a lot to blame for those, and I understand that. I wear that, and I'm just gonna go back to work this week and try and improve it.
I mean, this is a tough thing, Dustin, is that when you miss as much as Jordan Wicks has, or remember when when Justin Steele was out for a while, you don't just come back throwing darts. You know what I mean? A lot of times you gotta, it's like you're working your way back into it, and they're not going to keep these guys in AAA. That's just not going to happen. And so, hopefully Jordan comes back and has a healthy year. That's what we got to see from a lot of these young guys, whether you're talking, we had ideas of Ben Brown being up here and Jordan Wicks and, I'm trying to think of that 1st round draft pick from 2 years ago. All these guys that you were supposed to have up here that were going to be part of the bullpen, and Cade Horton. And instead you got Drew Smiley giving up gopher balls to all these guys. So not really what we kind of expected to be happening. Dustin, when I kind of take a look at this here, the Cubs were down 4-2 in the ninth, and the A's flamethrower closer, Mason Millers, is on the mound. He struck out Miguel Amaya for the first out, but Ian Happ hit a solo home run off a 103.2 mile per hour fastball. That was the fastest pitch hit for a home run by any MLB batter in the pitch tracking era since 2008. And so Bleacher Nation pointed this out. For Ian, it was his second homer of the game, his 25th of the season, which ties his career best, his 86th run, which ties his career best, and his 85th RBI, which is his career best. And so that was also career home run number 150 and his 15th multi-homer game. So for Ian Happ, I mean, after a bad start to the season, he really had turned it around and has made it one of his best seasons as a Cub.
Right. The other thing that I thought was really impressive, and I don't have the number officially, but maybe you do or you remember this. I thought I saw it today on the Marquee Network. I was doing a couple things at once when I was watching it, that he now has 150 career home runs.
Yep,
and next in front of him is Chris Bryant in the 160s. So he's going to pass Chris Bryant next year, assuming he's still a Cub next year, and I think he will be because he's got a no trade clause unless something absolutely wild happens. And then not too far behind that is Andre Dawson. Like he could be one of the all-time Cub home run hitters in a career as a Cub when this is all said and done. I mean, he's been around long enough. I just didn't realize he was that high on the list.
Yeah, and when you think about Chris Bryant doing all of that in a very short career span, you know what I mean?
Right. He's not going to touch that in Colorado.
No, he's not going to get that close. But yeah, it's kind of phenomenal to believe. So what you're talking about is with 150, he's 16. Chris Bryant is 15th with 160. And then you get Andre Dawson, 174, Derek Lee, 179.
Well, how about Derek Lee being ahead of Andre Dawson? I mean, maybe you could have pulled that trivia. I would not have pulled that trivia. If you would have said to me, who hit more home runs as a Cub, Andre Dawson or Derek Lee? I mean, I would, pick me. I mean, I would have never guessed Derek Lee. Never. Maybe I'm just being too damn honest, but that just seemed that's just, I mean, what was I doing? Was I asleep? I mean, Derek Lee hit more home runs as a Cub than Andre Dawson.
Andre Dawson's Cub career, and again, this is kind of selective memory, is that everyone remembers that 87 year as an MVP, and that was just phenomenal. But 88, 89, 80, he was still really, really good. But he didn't, when you're talking about Cubs home runs, I mean, he actually did pretty good for the short amount of time he was a Cub, right? Right.
I just didn't remember Derek Lee being that prolific, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking.
I mean, good. I thought good, but not like very good. I just thought good.
Well, he had a lot more healthy years than Dawson did. Like when you talk about 89, 90, 91, Dawson's knees were completely shot at that point. So Derek Lee had a nice long career. I want to say with the Cubs, 2004 to about 2000, I'd say 10, maybe 11, 10, I would say 2010. I don't know off the top of my head, but around there, so, I mean, he had five, I had one injured year, but he had a lot of good years where he hit the baseball, him and Aramis Ramirez crushing baseballs,
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a lot of fun, but in this game right now, the Cubs actually out-hit the A's in game 2, 11-9. They were better with runners in scoring position than the A's. Cubs were 1 for 6, left 9 on base, but the A's were 0 for 8 and left 8 men on base. The difference, though, was 3 home runs for the A's and 2 home runs for the Cubs, and that's how it ends up.
Yeah, they outslugged them. That's what they did. All right, game number 3, and a little bit of breaking news. We'll talk about this in a moment, but Justin Steele on with the midday show yesterday at the Score. Great interview if you get a chance to hear that. Spend an hour with them. Justin Steele, though, pitched and wasn't in there very long. I was surprised they even bothered. We're going to talk about that now, right, Crawly? So Justin Steele this afternoon over at Wrigley as they were looking to salvage the series.
Yeah, he pitches, he starts, he gets to the top of the third, gets 2 outs, but Lawrence Butler and Brett Rooker, we warned you about them, puts both singled to put runners at first and second with 2 outs. Shea Langolier drew a 9-pitch walk to load the bases. Counsell comes out to get Steele. So that's 2 2/3 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 walks, whopping 57 pitches, 37 of them strikes. Ethan Roberts took over that mess and got Daz Cameron to pop out to end the threat. Ethan pitched an inning and a third, only gave up 1 hit. Unfortunately, that 1 hit was a home run off the bat of Tyler Soderstrom in the 4th to put the A's up 1-0. The Cubs offense could do nothing against Brady Basso until the bottom of the fifth. Nico Horner and PCA hit back-to-back singles to put runners at the corners. PCA steals second. Miguel Amaya draws a walk to load the bases for the top of the order. Unfortunately, Ian Happ would strike out swinging, but his teammate Dansby Swanson hits a weak grounder to score. It went about 8 feet and up the third base line, everybody's safe. Nico scores, game's tied at 1. Seiya Suzuki hits a single. Cody Bellinger sac fly, and just like that, the Cubs are up 3-1. Brady Basso's day is done. He went,
and I felt pretty good at this point, Crawly. I have to admit, I felt pretty good at that point.
I would say before the West Coast trip, I would have agreed with you, but the way that the bullpen has been, and in particular Drew Smiley, that's when I was like, oh boy, here we go. And if you go back to my Twitter at Crawly's Cubs, I go, here comes the inevitable Drew Smiley inning. And sure enough, 7th inning. You remember when the Cubs put Drew on waivers to see if any team wanted.
I guess that's why nobody wanted him, right? Not even the Orioles, who put Craig Kimbrell on IR today, or what are they, outright waivers or whatever they did to Kimbrell. So he's gone. I mean, boy, nobody wanted Drew Smiley though. Nobody, nope. And you can see why.
Yeah, he gave up back-to-back singles to Tyler Soderstrom and Tyler Nevin to lead off the inning. Nick Allen hits a sac bunt to put runners at second and third. Lawrence Butler grounds out to score Soderstrom to cut the Cubs lead to 3-2. That's it for Drew Smiley. Nate Pearson comes in to face Brent Rooker, and Rooker hits a dribbler up the line about 20 feet, and the game is tied at 3, almost like the exact same of what Cody Bellinger did to the A's. And so Shea Langolier would single, but then the A's got cute. They went with the old fake steal of second with Langolier, who's about the slowest man possible. And then Rooker's not any speed demon. He gets caught in a rundown at home. So it's one of those, like, try to throw to second and try to steal.
Yeah, at least they executed it, right? At least they executed it.
If you call it that, that's a dumb way to get run out of the inning, in my opinion, but whatever. Pearson's still pitching in the 8th. He gives up a single to Seth Brown. Zach Geldof doubles to score Brown, and the A's jump in front 4-3 with no outs. The Cubs infield's playing in. Jacob Wilson grounds out to Dansby for the first out. And then Tyler Soderstrom's back. He hits one to Nico. Unfortunately, the throw was on the first base side of home plate and not the third base slide. Geldof scores on a nice slide, and that put the A's up 5-3. Mason Miller would come out again in the 9th and put this one on ice. I don't know, Dustin. I mean, when I look back at this and I look at how bad the Cubs needed this win, if you knew you were only going to throw, 30, 40 pitches for Justin Steele,
then why bother? Why bother? I mean, we said it the other day, Crawly. We said if the Cubs won the first 2 games of this series and they were going for a sweep today, then would they have still handled? Here's the other part of it. Okay, would they still have handled Justin Steele the same way? If they were going for a sweep today, would they have handled it the same way? And then we had Tommy Hotovy on, and he said, "Listen, we wouldn't do anything to put his health in danger. He still has things he wants to accomplish. 57 pitches, you can do that on the side. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point?
And
you may as well have Drew Smiley as an opener, right? You may as well have gotten his crap out of the way early."
Yeah, it didn't make much sense. And, I keep hearing all the people say, well, he's healthy, so let him pitch. No, he's not ramped up. He had elbow issues. I mean,
right. Every pitch moving forward, that should be it. Today should have been it. That's it. No more. I think every pitch after this is an absolute waste of time.
It started with opening night and the hamstring injury, and it just hasn't worked out. Let the kid rest. He threw a lot of innings last year. He didn't throw as many this year. I get it, but I don't know. I felt that pushing the rest of the starters back there, like I said, if you're going to go 2 innings and that's it. And after seeing what the bullpen did on the West Coast trip, I was not comfortable with watching the bullpen try to hold on for 6 innings.
This bullpen has regressed big time.
Yeah,
absolutely big time.
And Dustin, we sit there and we look at this here and we talk at the end of August. Okay, Cubs have a weak schedule. There's a couple tough ones, Yankees, Dodgers, and Philly, but in general, pretty weak schedule. But so far this month, they've lost a series at home to the Pirates and the A's. So you lost to 2 bad teams at home. I don't know what's going on and why the Cubs can't play well at home. They lost a series on the road to the Rockies in horrific fashion. And so, weak schedule, whatever, the Cubs couldn't beat the teams that were in front of them. And, you did have a chance when you came into this month to make a run, especially if you remember that it was 8-1 road trip that they had. before coming home to Pittsburgh. They had it lined up how they kind of were hoping, and that dropping it to Pittsburgh, that just killed you right there. And
Yep.
you know, then
off.
throwing the Rocky. I'm not gonna get mad at losing 3 games to the Yankees. I'm not, a series to the Yankees, 2 out of 3, but you took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, but losing to the Pirates, losing to the Rockies. That's the second year in a row they've done that in September when they were in a playoff hunt, was losing to the Pirates and Rockies, and now losing to Oakland, which was just ridiculous. So, I think there's going to be a lot of hard questions that are going to be asked, and I hope that somebody has some good answers, because, right now this is just unacceptable.
Well, I mean, do you have an answer? I know we've got plenty of time to get into it, so maybe we just tease it that way. But I think our fans want to know what our answer's on. But we'll hold that. We'll hold those thoughts. And hey, if you've got a thought, if you've got answers, and you think you've got a way to fix this thing, email Crawly and I, flythew670@gmail.com. Again, flythew670@gmail.com. This is segment 3, episode 76 of the Fly the W670 podcast. Cubs falling to another sub 500 team. Don't forget, download, listen, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review and email us at flythew670@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us. That's right, on the 670 The Score YouTube page. All right, Crawly, if we must, and I think this should be the last time, look at the standings, because the Brewers clinched earlier today.
Yep, the Brewers clinch with the Cubs lost. Cubs are at 77 and 75, Cardinals 76 and 75, Reds 74 and 78, Pittsburgh in last place 71 and 80. And when we look at the wild card here, like you said, the Braves kind of fallen to earth a little bit. The Diamondbacks are really been struggling. And the Mets are still kind of playing well, but the Cubs are now 6.5 back, and you're just out of time is basically what you run down to. So
yeah, the calendar is running out, so that stinks. But I guess, as they like to say, it is what it is. So we had Michael Busch as the NL Player of the Week. Good for him. Can we talk about this a little bit? Okay, so 478, 4 homers, 11 RBIs, 2 doubles, a walk, 7 runs scored in 6 games, and a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, great. Congratulations, Michael Busch. Did our skipper, did he know that the National League Player of the Week plays for his team? Why in the world, in the game on Tuesday night, did he pinch hit for the National League Player of the Week in the 6th inning? Not in the 7th inning or in the 6th inning. He has Patrick Wisdom, who's barely had more at-bats than you and I this year as a Cub, and we haven't had any. He barely gets off the bench, and you sit the Player of the Week down? So are you telling me if it was a playoff game, would he have sitting Patrick Wisdom down? Because essentially, Crawly, the Cubs were in a playoff game on Tuesday night that they lost.
I think probably of all the things that Craig has done this season, that is the one that maddens Cubs Twitter more than anything.
And how about somebody asking him about that? Why is that like a taboo subject? Did I miss it? Did I miss that?
Idea. I think that there's a litany of questions that are going to be coming up at CubsCon, and I would be shocked if that's not one that comes.
Well, can we write that one down? In all seriousness, we just ask, seriously, Crawly stands up every year and asks a question at CubsCon. I don't know that I'm allowed to ask a question at CubsCon. Email Crawly and I and send us what you want us to ask at CubsCon.
Yeah, that right now is really,
before we forget, because there's so many, we might forget. So let's get that out of the way now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this game on Tuesday night in September. Why did you hit it? Oh, because the computer, that's just baseball. The computer told us. Okay.
He really likes those lefty-righty matchups.
My gosh.
I mean,
enough.
I don't know. Again, I don't know if I think Michael Busch is trying to, he's your future right here, right? This is your future.
Well, if he's not, if he's not, then what is, right? I mean, I thought that's what they were selling.
Yeah, and again, he's had a really good rookie season. So I mean, are you saying we don't trust you to face, lefties?
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. If it was a playoff game, would you have sat the National League Player of the Week? And essentially, it was a playoff game.
I wouldn't have, but I think Craig Counsell would have.
Now, let me ask you this, and maybe we do it for next. Here's a homework assignment, because you do a great job. When we preview the series, you will say that this Cub hitter has done this to this, as an example, Nationals pitcher. That's coming up in a couple of minutes. Can you look up the stats for next week's podcast, what Patrick Wisdom has done against that pitcher?
Yeah, we can look that up. That's not a problem.
Okay, let's look that up for next week. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. But since we were congratulating the National League Player of the Week, I wanted to know why the National League Player of the Week was lifted in the 6th inning of a playoff game. All right, anyway. And now we can lead into Patrick Wisdom, maybe because they wanted to cheer the Roberto Clemente Award nominee.
Yep,
okay.
Cub fans, annually that is bestowed on a player with extraordinary character, community involvement, and philanthropy and positive contributions both on and off the field. You can go to Cubs.com and vote for Patrick to win the award. It's not best pinch hitter. It's the person that, again, is the most philanthropic and community involvement and good character. So, hey,
listen, those things need to be talked about a whole lot more than they are, because we spend plenty of time, especially me, bitching and moaning about, what happens, when guys go off the rail and do a bad thing. So I do want to congratulate Patrick Wisdom for being recognized, and that's a great honor and good for him.
Yeah, like I said, we talked about it a little bit last week when we found out he was the nominee. Just a great guy, and like you said, hopefully, he can win that award, and it is something important. And I like that baseball does that.
Absolutely, it's a good thing. All right, so a couple of roster moves, and one of them I got to ask you about is, so Daniel Palencia was called up and sat back down. He got out there, but today, Tommy Hotovy said that Daniel Palencia has the stuff like the all-star closer for the A's.
Yeah, what he's talking about is heat. The guy throws some heat, and so
why not let him stay up here for the last 2 weeks? What's the point of going up and down and back and forth?
Well, he was called up, and so he's ready. And then Trey Wingardner was optioned down. He was picked up on the waiver wire. And so part of the reason, Dustin, is that you have Justin Steele, who was activated, and they activated reliever Jorge Lopez from the IL, right? So you have to clear up 2 spots. And so basically Jack Neely and Daniel Palencia were the last, Trey Wingardner's down. Jack Neely's now down. Daniel Palencia is now down. Now, if you would have, it's just tricky, especially with Smiley. Obviously that would be my choice, but it doesn't work that way. So I would say more than anything, Dustin, it's just Palencia will have his shot. He throws, like I said, he throws a lot of heat, and he will have his shot. It just, unfortunately, injuries have really kind of cost this entire Cubs team. I don't want to sit there and make it a blanket excuse, but if you think about it,
everybody deals with injuries, and I'm not saying you are, but everybody deals with injuries. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just today's just very frustrating, Crawly.
Alex Cohen from the Iowa Cubs tweeted out that, in the game on Tuesday, there was a 2-hit shutout for Iowa. You had Hayden Wesniewski, Julian Merriweather, Caleb Killian, and even Colton Brewer, who combined for that 2-hit shutout. But those were all guys, especially Wesniewski, Merriweather, Killian, that you thought were going to be able to be up here and be big contributors, and you haven't seen them much this year.
Right. Yep.
And
that's what the bullpen is. This bullpen is so different from the one that broke camp, right? I mean, Drew Smiley. I mean, seriously, who is still on? Who broke camp as a bullpen piece that's in the bullpen tomorrow? It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's been nuts. And when they got rid of Hector Neris, he was the one guy that kind of was the anchor the entire time. And of course, he's doing well with Houston.
So of course he got to save the other night. Of course, for a team that's going to the postseason. Of course.
Now the Cubs have a new opponent coming on, and that is going to be the Washington Nationals. Dustin, you remember the Nationals when a couple weeks ago when the Cubs were one of the hottest teams in baseball, winning 8 of 9 games. They swept the Nationals in our nation's capital. Shota Imanaga gave up 2 runs in the first inning of the first game, but the Cubs offense scored 7 runs in the second and led 7-3 going in the 9th. Bullpen was wobbly that day, dude. 3 pitchers were needed to get out of that one. They gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning, but the Cubs held on to win 7-6. Cubs were again down 2-0 in game 2 against former Cubs prospect DJ Hurst, but the Cubs offense and a key error allowed the Cubs to score 4 runs in the 5th inning, and the Cubs would win game 2 5-3. The Cubs continued to put crooked numbers on the Nationals in game 3, putting 3 in the 3rd, 3 in the 7th, and 7 in the 9th to sweep the Nationals 14-1. Nationals are playing tonight. They're currently 68-83, so they still have a game after we're done with this podcast. That's good for 4th place in the NL East. They're going to be finishing up a series with the Mets where they blew a 1-0 lead in the 8th to lose 2-1 in extras. They were pounded 10-1 in game 2, and now they're trying to avoid the sweep as 2 former Cubs go at it. We talked about DJ Hurst for the Nationals. He's taking on Jose Quintana for the Mets. Now, when
All
we
right.
talk, there's a lot. And when we talk about the tail of the tape,
Tail of the tape. Here we go. Ring that bell, Crawly. Ring that bell.
a lot of similarities in this team. The Nationals actually have they're tied with the Cubs at 243 for batting average. Slug, the Nationals have the advantage, 496 versus 413, so 16 versus 19. Runners in scoring position is again goes to the Nats. Starting pitcher ERA, the Cubs are 8th at 383, while the Nationals are 21st at 437. Reliever ERA, the Cubs are still 12th with 381, while the Nationals are 22nd at 420. Big difference, and we talked about this last time they faced each other, is defense. The Cubs have 35 defensive runs saved, 8th best in baseball, while the Nationals have negative 27 runs saved, 26th in all of baseball. So a very poor defensive team.
All right. Over that. Pitching probables. This is going right. There's no rest, right? We got a Thursday night game over at Wrigley. How many of these games you going to, Crawly? Any of them?
I believe I'm going tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. So that's
the last
Friday.
night game of the, last night game of the season.
And it's a Friday night game?
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. So that we're talking about tomorrow's game. Game one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Game
okay.
one.
So
Javier Assad. Yeah.
Okay.
Versus left-handed pitcher Patrick Corbin. Assad is 7-5 with a 3.27 ERA in 27 games, started with 116 strikeouts in 137 2/3 innings. You kind of know what you're going to get with Assad. Usually about 6 innings. It gives up about 3 runs. Assad started on August 31st versus the Nationals, gave up 3 runs in 6 innings in DC. On September 7th against the Yankees, he gave up 1 run in 5 2/3 innings and took the loss. In his last start against the Rockies, he went 6 innings, gave up 4 runs, but that part was just a nightmare for him. Assad's 1-0 lifetime against the Nationals with a 2.45 ERA in 2 games against the Nats. One of those that start on August 31st. The only Nationals hitter who has with more at bats, more than 3 at bats against Javi is CJ Abrams, who is 2-5. Now he's taken on the veteran Patrick Corbin, 35-year-old crafty lefty, 6-13 with a 5.45 ERA in 30 games started, 132 strikeouts and 165 innings pitched. On September 3rd, he gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings against the Marlins, got knocked around for 7 runs in 6 innings against the Pirates on September 8th. Had a nice bounce back start against the Marlins on September 14th, giving up 1 run in 6 innings. Cubs did not see him in the last series in DC, but Corbin is 1-1 lifetime against the Cubs in 5 starts with a 5 ERA. Dansby Swanson has seen Corbin the most, going 9 for 38 against Corbin. Bellinger is 8 for 20 and Happ is 4 for 13 for Corbin, who features a sinker, slider, cutter, and 4-seam fastball.
All right. So that is game number 1. That's again Thursday night. Crawly will be there. Game 2, Friday night affair. Afternoon game, 1:20. Jameson Tyone throwing.
Yep, versus left-hander Mackenzie Gore. JMO's 10-8 with a 3.54 ERA in 26 starts, 119 strikeouts and 152 in the 3rd innings. JMO has been on fire lately. On September 2nd against Pittsburgh, he pitched 7 innings of shutout ball. Against the Yankees on September 8th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings. And in his last start against the Rockies, he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. Tyone is 0-1 lifetime against the Nationals in 7 starts with a 4.38 ERA. Not too many Nats have seen JMO. Joey Gallo is 1 for 4, and CJ Abrams and Luis Garcia are both 0 for 4. Now, Mackenzie Gore is 9 for 12 with a 4.17 ERA in 30 games started with 163 strikeouts and 153 in the 3rd innings pitch. Gore's been pitching well lately. On September 4th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Marlins. On September 10th, he gave up 2 runs in 3 2/3 innings. And then on September 15th, he pitched 6 shutout innings against the Marlins. So Gore is 1-2 lifetime against the Cubs with a 7.04 ERA in 3 starts. Nico Horner has the most at bats against Gore, but he's 1 for 8. Sayas 3 for 7, and Patrick Wisdom 2 for 7. Gore throws a 4-seam fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup.
Saturday, Kyle Hendricks.
120 start versus right-hand pitcher Jake Irvin. Kyle Hendricks 4-11 with a 6.25 ERA in 27 games. 22 of those were starts, 83 strikeouts in 118 innings pitched. Like Tyone, Hendricks has had a great month of September. On September 3rd, he gave up 2 runs in 5 innings against the Pirates. On September 9th, he gave up 2 runs in 4 1/3 against the Dodgers. And on September 15th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings to prevent the sweep against the Rockies. Kyle's not faced the Nationals this season, but is 4-2 lifetime against Washington with a 2.70 ERA and 10 starts. The only one with more than 4 at-bats against Kyle is Luis Garcia, who is 1 for 5. Jake Irvin is 10-12 with a 4.07 ERA in 31 games, started with 150 strikeouts and 179 in the third innings. 3 starts ago against the Pirates, he gave up 6 runs in 5 innings, but he's bounced back lately. Against the Braves, he gave up only 1 run in 6 innings, and against the Mets on September 16th, he gave up 1 run in 7 in the third innings. So both of those teams are ahead of the Cubs for the final wild card spot, and he beat them both pretty handily. So the Cubs did rough up Irvin when they faced him on August 30th, scoring 7 runs off him in 4 2/3 inning. So Irving is 0-1 lifetime against the Cubs in 2 starts with an ERA of 8. He features a 4-seam fastball, a curveball, a sinker, and a cutter. And again, not too many Cubs hitters have more than 3 at-bats against him.
All right, very good. That moves us to Sunday, a Shota Imanaga day.
Showtime. Shota's 14-3 with the 3.03 ERA in 28 games started with 170 strikeouts, 166 in the third innings. Shota's won 5 straight starts. On September 4th against the Pirates, he pitched 7 shutout innings and was part of that combined no-hitter. On September 10th, he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings against the Dodgers. And in the last series against Oakland, we talked about this earlier, he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. He did start against the Nationals on August 30th. He gave up 2 runs in the first, but only gave up 3 runs total in 6 innings. And that's the only time he ever pitched against Washington. Dylan Cruz hit a home run in that game, and Jose Tena had a 2-run double off Shota. So Mitchell Parker is a 24-year-old rookie left-hander who is 7-10 with a 4.44 ERA in 28 games started with 128 strikeouts and 146 innings pitched. On September 7th, he gave up 4 runs in 3 1/3 innings against the Pirates, pitched 6 1/3 shutout innings against the Marlins on September 12th. And in his last start, he gave up 5 runs in 3 2/3 innings against the Mets. He took the loss against the Cubs on September 1st, pitching 6 innings and giving up 4 runs. Only 3 of them are earned. Parker has only faced the Cubs the 1 time in his career. Only Cub that has more than 3 at-bats against Parker is Isaac Paredes, who is 2-6. Parker features a 4-seam fastball, curveball, split finger, and slider.
All right, hot and not time.
Yeah, when we talk about hot, that's the funny thing, Dustin, is the Cubs are actually hitting really well. I mean, you got Nico Horner in the last week, 11 for 24, hitting 458. Seiya Suzuki, 9 for 25. He's hitting 360 for the week. Michael Busch is 7 for 20, hitting 350. I mean, honestly, like really right now, the worst hitter is PCA, who's 6 for 22 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. He's hitting 273 for the week. So, I mean, all the Cubs are hitting. I mean, there's no one really other than Bethancourt who's 0 for 6, but I mean, there's only 6 at bats. You know what I mean?
Anybody we got to worry about with the Nationals when they're up to bat?
Oh, boy. Not really. Dylan Cruz would be the one that, you know, he's a center fielder, 7 for his last 24 with an RBI. He's hitting 278. That's about as hot as they go. And then after that, there's a huge drop off. A lot of their hit players are hitting 200, 180s in the last week. So, I mean, by all accounts, the Cubs should win this series. It's just a matter of if they will or not.
All right. Should, could, will, prediction time, Crawly. You're going first this time, putting you on the spot.
All right. I'm going to go with the Cubs taking 3 out of 4. I like the show to start. Kyle's been doing well. I feel like I don't think this is going to be the last Kyle Hendricks start in Wrigley Field, but we're getting really close to that. And J-Mo's been pitching really well. So I kind of like the pitching matchups for the Cubs. Yeah,
I'm going to go with you. I'm 3 out of 4 as well. Hope it's not the last Kyle Hendricks start. Hope it's not the last show to start. You're trying to go Sunday or no?
I'm going the last game of the season is my next one. So I always go to the last night game of the season, which is Thursday. And then the following week versus the Reds on Sunday, we're all going to go after the Sammy Sosa Club 400 event. And so that ought to be interesting, but that's always like, you know.
Now for those really quick that missed that part, if they can't get it quickly, give us a little details if there are details to share still.
Yeah, Club 400 is going to be hosting Sammy Sosa on Saturday, I believe this is the 27th. And there's 3 different tiers of tickets for $150, all you can eat, all you can drink, a Q&A, and a picture with Sammy. For the second price tier, I want to say around like $300. You get a picture, you get a autograph with Sammy, a photo with Sammy, and all the other perks. There's a VIP package. There's a whole bunch. We're going to have Fergie Jenkins there, Turk Wendell there. Ed Lynch is going to be there, the GM who got Sammy. So it's going to be a who's who.
Saturday the 28th. And where is Club 400?
That is in Lake in the Hills. So if you go to club400cubs.com, you'll be able to find out all the information you need. And I really hope to see a lot of people there because Sammy is one of those guys that it took him about like 14 years to get back to Chicago. And you just never know if, this might be the last chance you get to see him in another long period of time. I don't know how it'll work out, how it works out with the Cubs, but this is going to be probably also is about an intimate setting that you're going to see Sammy. And Sammy's made it clear to all of us, he wants to spend a lot of time hanging out with the fans, interacting with them. And so this is going to be really, really good. We got Justin Roman from the old Styles and Roman show on B96 is going to be doing the Q&A. Fergie's always a great guy to have around, and there's going to be some fantastic raffles and auctions. So anyone that there's going to be some really, really unique stuff. And I can get a list for the next show that, for people that are really curious as to what they could win. But people are just donating a lot of crazy stuff. And Sammy has been, gracious enough that he's going to sign those, and they're all going to go up for auction.
Very cool. That's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W670 podcast. Follow on all the socials. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, of course, Twitter. Email us. We've got questions that need to be answered. flythew670@gmail.com. And you can watch us by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, enjoy the game Thursday night, and let's hope the Cubs can play out the string professionally.
Yeah, we know that Wrigley Field is such a beautiful place, and I think about it all the time in the winter months when it's kind of cold and dreary. It's like, man, what you'd give for one of those summer days. So head on down to Wrigley, cheer on the Cubs, and let's just have a good time, all right? Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!